This topic will illustrate the concept of the use of self in OD practice, present a review of the proposed models of OD practitioners' competences, and discuss the result of a mixed method study on competences of all practitioners in the Philippines. This chapter also describes the current state and possible directions of OD education as a means of developing competences of OD practitioners.
The use and importance of self in OD. The concept of use of self in OD practice emphasizes how the values, capabilities, and experiences of practitioners shape the nature and quality of one's work. Not only our self-awareness, but also the ability to interpret what is going on as clearly as possible and take actions appropriately to the situations.
Western OD competency models. The evolution of OD practitioner competences reflects the historical development. The first generation of OD practitioner during 1960s to 1970s highlighted the importance of personal awareness and group dynamics. The second generation during 1980s to early 2000 is the need to tighten the link between OD efforts and business results, and this paved the way for the development of competency models that highlight the technical skills needed. Local OD competency models. A study during 2011 has created and asked HR and OD professionals to share what they think and concerns their organization will be facing in next 5 years. And the results show that HR and OD practices has evolved in the last few years, and it has become imperative to HR to demonstrate specific OD competences in order to respond on organization priorities. And these competences are understanding of organizational behavior, groups and teams, and the psychology of work, designing interventions, facilitation and process consultations, evaluating change, system thinking.
System thinking means a holistic perspective in analyzing a situation, understanding this system within an organization and its larger context, as well as recognizing how different systems. One practitioner in the 2014 focus group discussion emphasizes that you cannot change one thing without affecting the other. Another mentioned that to be able to do OD that will be responsive and relevant, you must have an understanding of the nature of change in a system perspective. Strategic thinking. Organizations have begun to realize that they cannot really survive on the basis of internal cohesion and efficiency. That's why OD practitioner in demonstrating strategic thinking must be able to facilitate an appreciation of the external environment as well as current and future trends and their implications to help grow the organizations. Technical competencies. These pertain to the capacity to assess needs accurately as well as design, manage, monitor, and evaluate interventions. Under these competencies are contracting with client, diagnosis, designing interventions, managing change, process consultation, monitoring, and evaluation. Relational competencies. In Philippines complex, relationships are highly valued and people are careful about losing face. Having competencies that demonstrate sensitivity to people, particularly in giving feedback, is just as important as technical competencies. And these are understanding human behavior, communicating with influence, giving effective feedback, collaborating, people empowerment, organizational and cultural sensitivity. The person of OD practitioner. This competency cluster pertains to how an OD practitioner relates with others in a manner that exemplifies recognition of oneself as an instrument of change. This includes emotional intelligence, reflective thinking, authenticity and integrity, openness to continuous learning. All of these are important to endeavor to develop these competencies and the ability to blend and balance them, especially in the light of critical role of the use of self-OD practice.
Importance of the proposed OD competencies. The importance of the competencies was analyzed by looking at the average rating of respondents. Scale of 1 to 6 from not at all important to greatly important, the most important competencies from the perspective of the practitioners were authenticity and integrity and being able to effectively conduct diagnostic. Competencies belong to the personal and technical cluster respectively. In the strategic competencies, and system thinking was given the highest rating, whereas for the relational and now competencies, both collaborating and communicating with influence were perceived as the most important. Competency gaps. The study was to determine the priority competencies for development based on a comparison of perceived importance and current capabilities of Filipino OD practitioners. The finding shows that high priority areas for development includes all three strategic audit practitioners' competencies: system thinking, organization savvy, and strategic thinking. Priority development areas also include technical competencies such as managing change diagnosis, and designing interventions knowledge and skills associated with diagnosis such as research methods, statistical analysis and data, interpretation and analysis were considered as low priority development areas in the study. Developing OD competencies. The earlier section on the instrumentality of the self in OD practices highlights the needs for practitioners to address competency gaps. The survey identify 8 competencies as priority for development: system thinking, organization savvy, strategic thinking, diagnosis, managing change, designing interventions, communicating with influence, and self-mastery to learn how respondents are addressing their perceived areas for improvement.
Current state of education in the Philippines. What are the options of being educated in organization development? One way is the attainment of an academic degree, such as doctorate with a concentration in OD or master degree, especially in OD. Other option is to gain skills and competences through comprehensive training programs offered by consulting and training organization. The options for academic programs in OD in the Philippines are limited. On the other hand, training programs in OD have increased. Number these short courses covers a range of topics and offered anywhere from 2-day overview to an extensive diploma program. Alternatively, practitioner networks such as the Organization Development Practitioner Network Philippines Incorporation has been actively promoting and providing continuous learning opportunities such as learning sessions, online sharing of courses, and OD labs for their members. Historically, to be educated in OD meant to be grounded in the behavioral sciences, as the foundation of OD grew out of those areas of study. However, in the response to the challenges and subsequent evolution that field has undergone in the past 2 decades, it was also critical to expand and focus of educational to include other areas that are crucial for an practitioner's overall effectiveness.
Establishing a strong foundation in organizational development is imperative, and such endeavor may include but not be limited to the following areas: history and evolution. Describe the significant founders of organizational management as well as the key streams that have influenced the field. This is important to develop a deep appreciation of the core philosophies, theories, and practices that have shaped how organizational development is today. Values and ethics. These foundational values, such as democracy and equity and fairness, valid information and informed choices, and respect for the human side of enterprise, among others. Systems thinking and strategic perspective highlights the importance of having the ability to see the organization as a whole rather than just a sum of its part, and to weaken the quality of interactions and relationships within and outside the system. Theories and models of planned change discusses theories and models that have profoundly shaped organizational development as a field. This provides a deeper and broader understanding of change within organizational context. Action research, a fundamental mode of facilitating change, it highlights the need for rigorous diagnosis before interventions as well as the need for evaluation after implementations. Use of a self as an instrument of change underscores how the values, capabilities, and experiences of the practitioner are reflected in the nature and quality of his or her work.
In today's fast-paced world, the number of days that are required to attend an educational course comes at a steep price. There is a need to balance experimental learning with the real constraints on the time and physical location. Use of technology. One concrete way of enabling a more flexible learning approach from OD education is through the use of technology platforms that are increasingly available. These technologies can range from providing virtual interfaces, access to publications and researches, and collaboration software for real-time research and consulting projects, strengthening ties between academics and practitioners. A high energy between academics and practitioners will undoubtedly contribute much rigor and robustness to the education and indeed to the field as a whole. Perhaps there is a need to more deliberately create opportunities for dialogue and collaboration between the two crucial areas of the OD practice. The future of the field depends greatly on the quality of education provided to the beginners and novices who are drawn to it. The quality of that education depends not on its ability to be as stable and as set in a stone, but rather on its ability to continuously flex as the hard questions and evolves in response to changing realities while remaining rooted on its enduring values and foundations.